It was just an ordinary Thursday in Ahmedabad. Students in a nearby hostel had broken for lunch. Some were joking in the corridors. A few were napping. The sun was overhead. The sky was clear, and across the city, hundreds of families went about their day without knowing it would be torn apart by 1:42 p.m. Seconds after takeoff, an Air India Dreamliner, Flight 171, plunged from the skies and tore through a residential building, slamming into a medical college hostel with a roar so violent it shattered windows for blocks. Within minutes, India witnessed what is now being called the worst aviation tragedy in over a decade. Over 290 people are dead. Only one has survived. The question that remains, screaming louder than the sirens: how did a state-of-the-art Boeing 787 crash minutes after takeoff, in broad daylight, with no warning, no weather, and no reason? In this video, let's retrace what happened moment by moment and understand why this one flight might change the face of Indian aviation forever. Air India. Flight 171 was not just another flight. It was supposed to be uneventful, almost boring. A routine takeoff from Ahmedabad to London Gatwick. The passengers were a mix of families, students, business professionals, and tourists, all strapped in, eyes fixed on seatbelt signs or dreams of the UK skyline. The plane they boarded was a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, known in aviation circles as the industry's golden child. Lightweight, fuel-efficient, quiet. In fact, the Dreamliner was marketed not just as a technological marvel, but as an engineering promise that it would fly farther, cleaner, and, above all, safer. The aircraft in question wasn't even considered old. It was first flown in December 2013 and handed over to Air India just a month later. 10 years in service is practically youthful for commercial aviation. Many planes go on flying into their late 20s or even 30s, but this Dreamliner had no known red flags. It hadn't been flagged for corrosion, engine problems, or outdated tech. Its maintenance records were cleared. Its systems were approved. It was, on paper, a bird in its prime. Commanding the cockpit that day was Captain Sumit Sabharwal, a highly experienced pilot with over 8,200 hours in the sky. His co-pilot, First Officer Clive Kundar, had more than 1,100 hours. While less experienced, Kundar was no novice. Together, they had logged flights through turbulence, storms, and international airspaces. There was no indication they were unprepared for what was ahead. The weather was clear, visibility was fine, traffic moderate. By all metrics, Flight 171 should have been a footnote in the day's news cycle. Instead, it became a headline that would haunt aviation for years. The Dreamliner lifted off from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport at exactly 1:38 p.m. local time. The engines roared as expected. But just seconds into the air, something was clearly wrong. According to flight path data, the plane barely climbed above 600 feet, a dangerously low altitude for an aircraft of that size and thrust. Witnesses near the airport said they saw the aircraft's nose pitching sharply upward, as if struggling to ascend. But the back of the aircraft appeared to sag, dragging against its own momentum. That's when the Mayday was issued. The pilots reached out to air traffic control in a distress signal so urgent it overrides all other communications. Mayday. It's a word no one ever wants to say, and no one ever wants to hear. But it was heard. And then silence. There was no second message, no data burst, no transponder update. The plane had disappeared from radar and soon after from the sky. In just 4 minutes, the 787 was gone, and it didn't vanish over water or into a remote forest. It came down hard, right into the heart of Ahmedabad. At 1:42 p.m., Flight 171 crashed into the student hostel of BJ Medical College, a building adjacent to the airport, populated mostly by medical students, future doctors in training. many of whom had just sat down for lunch. The collision was total. The fire that followed spread across dormitory floors, igniting everything from gas lines to ceiling fans. The chaos wasn't just about the impact. It was about the fire, the screams, the debris raining down on what should have been a normal day. As of now, 204 bodies have been recovered. That's not just passengers. That's hostel residents, staff, and bystanders. And the number may still rise because wreckage is still being cleared. One of the rescuers reportedly said it looked like metal had eaten through walls. Engines pierced beds. Doors became blades. Sections of the fuselage blocked exits. The destruction was such that recovery teams have been forced to use DNA tests to identify bodies. Among the dead were 53 British citizens, 1 Canadian, 7 Portuguese nationals, and 169 Indians. Their passports now lie in scorched boxes at the morgue. Their lives ended in mid-transition, somewhere between departure and destination, between earth and sky. And yet, through the inferno, one man lived, Ramesh Vishwaskumar, a 29-year-old systems engineer, seated near the rear exit. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on the latest news stories on geopolitics, economics, and current affairs impacting your lives. According to early reports, he noticed unusual vibrations during takeoff. When the aircraft began to tilt and shudder, he followed his instinct. As the plane dipped violently, a rear hatch malfunctioned. Ramesh leapt, possibly thrown, possibly jumping, through that exit before the final impact. He survived, injured but conscious. His presence is now more than a medical miracle. It's an investigative necessity, because Ramesh, as of now, is the only one who might know what it felt like inside that aircraft in its final 30 seconds. His statements are being taken in guarded rooms, in hushed tones, as aviation experts huddle over his words. What did the engine sound like? Was there a fire? Were there announcements? Was there panic? These questions aren't for closure. They are for decoding a puzzle that so far has no solution. Even now, there are no firm answers. Flight data recorders, the black boxes, are still being searched for in a debris field mixed with steel, concrete, and charred documents. Air India has issued a formal statement. Tata Group has activated an internal crisis panel. Boeing has offered technical support, but none of these press releases can match the gravity of what just happened. Because this wasn't supposed to happen. Not to this aircraft. Not on this route. Not to these people. Not like this. And yet, here we are, facing the worst aviation disaster India has seen in over a decade. And for a Boeing 787, the very first of its kind. Here, the black box is of prime attention. In every aviation disaster, the most critical evidence lies in the two flight recorders. The cockpit voice recorder, CVR, and the flight data recorder, FDR, commonly referred to as the black boxes. In this case, authorities have not yet confirmed the recovery of either. Until those black boxes are found, everything else, from technical faults to pilot response, remains unanswered. That said, initial clues suggest the plane failed to generate lift, the aerodynamic force that allows an aircraft to rise and stay aloft. Video footage shows the aircraft's nose pointing upward, but the body dipping, which are the classic signs of a low-speed stall. But why did the aircraft fail to gain enough lift? This is where the theories start swirling. Improper takeoff configuration, flap or slat failure, engine malfunction, a bird strike, sensor error, faulty maintenance? We do not know. What we do know is that this model of aircraft, the Boeing 787, has never crashed before. And yet here we are, and the human cost is horrifying and heartbreaking. Many victims were headed to London for various reasons: holidays, reunions, work, and education. Some were families, some solo travelers, some had just begun new chapters in their lives. Imagine their emotions as the plane took off, the joy, the nervousness, the phone calls made from the boarding gates. Imagine what followed when the aircraft began to shake and descend instead of climbing. Now, hundreds of families await news. Many will never receive a body to bury. DNA tests are being conducted to identify remains. India's Civil Aviation Ministry has activated a 24-hour control room and a hotline for relatives. Gujarat's chief minister has visited survivors. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has issued a statement, heartbreaking beyond words. Air India's CEO called this a difficult day for all of us at Air India. The airline has grounded several Dreamliners for inspection and will likely face lawsuits in both Indian and international courts. Meanwhile, rapid response units, including CISF, CRPF, the fire department, and Army medics, are working to recover both bodies and evidence. The wreckage is being examined under forensic conditions. But more than rescue, India now faces hard questions. Was this preventable? Were proper maintenance checks done? Was the aircraft cleared too quickly? Did the airline prioritize cost-cutting over safety? All these questions are coming, and they will not go away quietly. We are left with the haunting image of a state-of-the-art aircraft, piloted by veterans, rising into the sky and collapsing minutes later, killing hundreds and destroying lives on the ground. We are left with one survivor, perhaps fated to tell the tale so investigators don't have to guess in the dark. We are left with questions that strike at the heart of public safety, airline management, and global aviation. But above all, we are left with grief. Because a plane isn't just a machine. It's a promise that you will be carried safely, that you will arrive. On that day in Ahmedabad, Flight 171 broke that promise. Did you know anyone who was on this plane? Isn't it devastating that over 290 lives were lost in the blink of an eye, with hundreds of families left to mourn? In the comment section below, let's pay condolences to those who lost their loved ones in the crash, and let's pray that the deceased rest in peace. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring the latest news stories on geopolitics, economics, changing world order, and current affairs. Things you need to stay informed. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.